All right. So, how did you get your start in comedy so early? I know you started at the age of 8, but like, do you remember what you said or did? Like, how do you even just become a comedian at the age of 8?
Well, for me, it wasn't like in front of people. It was more of like my family. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like, so just like having a family and being silly with them and just always being like the person in front of my entire family, just talking, acting a fool, saying jokes. Like I grew up in a family where it was like my grandfather was huge on comedy, and he was funny. And my family, like I had the house where everyone kind of came to and hung out at, and so we would just all be in the living room just clowning all day. So
Hmm.
that's kind of just how that happened. Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's really cool. I mean, that's,
Yeah.
8 is really young. So I was like, how was she, what was she doing at the time that maybe, that made people think, oh, let's put her on the stage or, whatever the case may
Where
be.
did where did you get that from? Because maybe that's somebody else.
Uh, on your bio, it said that you were on a show. Was it a show? That's Did I read that wrong? Okay. But you've been in the game for a long time. Okay, but you started early though. So it sounds like you were, kind of like entertaining the family. So okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
yeah.
Okay. All right. So did you ever consider doing anything else outside of comedy?
Definitely acting, but when I was young, my mom would take me on like auditions, but I was scared then. Like I would get in front of a camera and like freeze up, like knew the lines, but when a camera would start rolling, it was like, eh. So she probably took me on maybe probably 4 auditions. And after me freezing up 4 times, she was kind of like, that's it. And then also dancing. I dance. Like if it's a party, I'm dancing. If nobody else in the party is dancing, I'm dancing. So I also danced. So I really love that. So yeah, so just some form of entertainment. I always felt like I should be a part of it. You know what I mean? Just this world, whatever that is. Yeah.
I like that. So it sounds like you're a natural entertainer, even though, but you kind of had to step into it in some ways. But yeah,
Yeah, in some way, yeah, and figure it out and become comfortable, with myself
right.
because that's where it
Yeah.
starts. Yeah.
So what has life been like for you as a woman in the entertainment industry?
Um, for me, it's been good. Like I haven't really had too many problems, in it. I know it is a male dominated field, like stand up, like we sit in the green rooms with men and they're talking about everything, and you're the woman in the room. So I think for me it's been okay just learning how to, hold my own in that room,
Hmm.
you know. Um, I've never had like an issue with like someone being completely disrespectful. You always have some man to try it, like, throw out a little sexual comment or something like that. But you just say something smart, move on. So for me, it's been okay. I haven't had any bad experiences with it.
Well,
Yeah.
that's really good because I've heard some
Yeah.
crazy stories in the past. So okay.
Yeah. But then it's
So
also, I think, because like since I've been like a performing on stage, traveling comic, I've been married during that entire process too, right? So I think that me being married, and most people know that I haven't had like anything crazy. You know what I mean? Like no offers where people are like, you want to get on the show, sleep with me. Cause it's kind of like you already know that's not happening.
right.
You know what I mean? So yeah. So that's probably
Okay,
been
and that's actually a good segue to my next question because I'm
Mhm.
still trying to understand this kind of a first lady. Like, is your husband actually a pastor?
He is. Yes. He is
So how do
ordained.
you well, I'm gonna let you finish. You're saying he's ordained?
Yes, he is ordained. He preaches. He hasn't really been on the pulpit preaching that much recently. We don't have our own church, but yeah, he is a pastor. Yeah, that's it.
So how do you manage those two worlds? I looked at some of your videos, like your
Mhm,
stand-up videos, and I noticed like in one of them you kind of use a few curse words, but not really. And even when I saw you in Baltimore, I
mhm.
noticed like it was only toward the end you may have used the curse word or two, but not really. So how do you manage that? Like do you feel like anything is off topic or anything you wouldn't say because of that, or how does that work?
I mean, sometimes like if something is too crazy, I definitely run it by him. Like, what you think if I say this? But the good thing about our relationship is like, well, when we got married, he was not a pastor and I was not a comic yet. Right.
Oh.
And then, but he's always grown up in church. Like my husband faithfully, not just on Sundays, every day he wakes up with his Bible in his hand. Like nothing comes before that. Versus with me, like he met me, like I loved God, knew God, but didn't grow up in church. You know what I mean? Like I'm hood, you know what I'm saying? And he knows that about me. So when we got married, I already knew his love for God and he already knew I was ratchet. You know what I'm saying? So then on that journey, he decided like I'm accepting his calling. And then I decided to be a comic. And, you know, I think that's the thing with marriage and relationships. If you have to learn how to work with your partner, you know what I mean? Like, because who they are when you but start the relationship is not who they may end up, you know? So we have conversations, like if it's some out of pocket, I'll run it by him. But my comedy isn't really like that vulgar anyway.
Yeah.
It's just me as a woman. There's just certain, it's just so far I'm gonna go, you know what I mean? So I think everything typically that I say, he's pretty much good with it and he rides with it. Initially it was kind of tricky for me, and it was more of me wanting to protect his image. I wasn't concerned with me. It was more of like, if I'm up here saying jokes and I'm cursing, I don't want people to then not take him seriously in his love for God and worship and in teachings. You know what I mean? And then he kind of gave me like the green light, like, you do you, you know what I mean? Like comedy is your gift, you know what I mean? And preaching is mine. And who am I to tell you that you can't utilize your gift? You know what I'm saying? Because you're trying to protect me. So once I would start off, like when I first started years ago, I would have like in clubs, I would do a certain set. And then in church, I would do a certain set. And then I finally got comfortable enough to be able to intertwine it all. Because when I would do comedy shows, it's like they'll be rocking with me. And then as soon as I'm like, I'm a first lady, then everybody like, they tense up. And now they like, oh my God, is she funny? Should I laugh? Should I not? And it took me to realize like, no, that's who I am. Like this is my husband. I am a first lady, but I'm still ratchet. I still like to twerk and I do curse and drink. Like, that's just who I am. But that doesn't mean that he's not a good person and he's not a good pastor and he doesn't love God in the word. He still do him. And, you know, we just have that separation and it works. Our communication is great in that department. We accept each other.
I think that that's really awesome, you know, that, and especially that he told you that, you know, he didn't deny you your gift or your ability to use your gift, and you also were accepting of his. And I think that that's a really beautiful thing for both of you all. So, and I know that I'll end up actually needing to make certain I have this correct. So how long have you been a comedian?
Well, for me, my whole life, but me actually like on the road traveling stand up, it's been 10 years.
Got you.
Yeah. When I first like really jumped on the stage and took that leap, it's been 10 years.
Got you. So what do your kids think of your jokes? Because I know you sometimes you have a material with them in it. Like, how do they feel about it? And how old are they?
I have 2 daughters that are 21, a son that is 19, and a 10-year-old son. Gotcha. Yes. They're pretty much, I don't know, it's like a love-hate relationship. You know what I'm saying? Like my 10-year-old, like if he goes to a show when I do clean shows, because, you know, I do, of course, club shows, but also I do church shows, everything. And people always wonder about that, but it's like, I'm an adult and I don't curse around my mama. You know, I still was raised with like the values of like, when you're around adults, you don't be out here, da, 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 da. So it's easy for me to like convert and not curse. You know what I'm saying? Even though my natural might be like, I'm gonna cut you out, da, da, da. But when I'm around certain people, I know like it's just a respect level, right?
Right.
So when I take my son to shows, the shows that he's able to go to, 10, he'll say like, Mom, go up, say a joke about me. Like he wants me to. And then when I say it, he's hot. Like, you was up there talking about me and you said I'm not smart. And you said like he goes through these songs. So it's weird. Like they love it. They like it. I think they're excited for me. But at the same time, sometimes they're like,
yeah.
but then they know they mom, and I'm the same way. Like at home, like I'm that parent. Like if you don't want to be embarrassed or something for somebody to learn, don't bring them over, because I'm they gonna get it. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can you tell us about a time when a joke didn't go over well?
Let me see. It's a lot of moments of that. You know what I mean? Like, because like I don't think I ever got to the point to where I completely like bombed to where people want to throw eggs and apples at me. But you definitely, I think in comedy, you had those moments where even if some people are clapping, you feel like you bombed. Right.
Yeah.
So I'll get off like, oh, like that wasn't good. And it's funny because after the show, people are still like, great job. You were so funny. And in my mind, I'm like, that was trash. You know what I mean? So that was trash. But I think like it's hard to narrow down one actual event, because for me, I have like my, my bits that I do, right? But I always throw in something else. Like I like to, that's how you grow a joke. You throw in something else to see how it works. So when you throw in something that may have happened that day or you heard on the news, that might not hit,
Yeah.
But I think that's the part of like just the journey of being comfortable with it, right? Like early on, if I did a set and it wasn't like, or people really enjoyed it, you leave like, I'm a quit, like this ain't what I'm supposed to do. I'm trash, you know what I'm saying? And then eventually you learn that like, no, it's not. It's just the journey of it. And you got to be good when you get those laughs and okay when you don't. And if the joke didn't do well, what can you do to tweak it? You know what I'm saying? To make it go well. So I think that like, it's not, I don't have a particular time because I've experienced that. Like it's just normal. You know what I mean? Like to just have an off night where you still do the set that works, but the crowd is not really feeling it. You know what I'm saying? Because, comedy is what's funny to me isn't, funny to you. So I don't have one particular like night where I was just like, and people booed me. Like I would probably cry, but but you do have those moments. You know what I'm saying? Like you had those moments where you gotta. But I think that's the art of it. Is it's like when you're saying a joke, and if that joke doesn't work, a good artist because they still find a way to tweak it or curve it in that moment to now get a laugh, right? It might not be from the direction they was going, but now they created something else within it. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I never thought about it, but it definitely makes sense. Like once you're growing in your artistry with it, then that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to know, just even because just the fact of what we just discussed, but also when you were saying earlier, like when you went to auditions before, you weren't comfortable at first. Is there a thought that you tell yourself, that like to get into that moment or something? How do you do that? And do you have a special routine or anything before you go on stage?
So most of the time I like, most comics, you need it don't have to be a long period, but you need 5 minutes just kind of to regroup, get yourself together. And I always pray. Every time before I get on stage, I say a quick prayer. It's not long and drawn out to where I'm jumping and hallelujah, but it's just like, I always pray like, Lord, let this be a good show, and I always pray that one opportunity turns to another opportunity. Right. So that's always just a prayer that I say for myself. I calm myself down and then you go out there. But I don't think that like I'll ever stop getting nervous, ever. It's always just like you get these nerves, but I pray and I kind of bring it down a little bit and then go out there. And once I hit the mic, it's over. Once I say like my name, it all just flows. It's crazy. I love it.
You sound like you love it too.
I do.
It sounds like you've been doing it longer than 10 years. Well, you said you were entertaining your family. So I guess since you just have those years, behind you as well. So it all kind of comes together.
Yeah.
So who are some of your favorite comedians?
My favorite comedians, I would have to say Eddie Murphy is one of my favorite comedians. I grew up watching him like from Saturday Night Live to Raw to all of that. Definitely Richard Pryor. Loved Richard Pryor. I like Wanda Sykes.
Okay.
D.L. Hughley.
Yeah.
Whoopi Goldberg.
I have
I like
never actually
I
watched the
like
special with her.
Seinfeld. Huh?
I've never actually watched the special with Whoopi Goldberg. Now that you say that though, because I just kind of see her as, I guess, the show that she's on. I see
Yeah,
her as a
talk show.
TV host. Yeah, but not so much as a comedian. So I'm gonna have to check her out now that you say that. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah,
And you
cause
said
see,
Seinfeld?
yeah, and Seinfeld. So for me, comedy is yeah, Seinfeld. I like Seinfeld. I like dry humor, even though I'm not a dry comedian. I like just kind of just that dry, like witty kind of humor. Like
Mm-hmm.
I like his stand up, and I used to watch the Seinfeld show like crazy too. Um, Martin, I got a nice little list, so it's pretty good. Yeah.
Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
how would you describe your swagger? What makes Mieka Jay Mieka Jay?
What makes Mieka Jay is just like I'm real, I'm fun, I'm honest, I'm very honest. And I just like to have a good time. Like I just like to live. I like to live. I'm honest, I'm funny, not even when I try to be, just chilling, you know what I mean? And I just love life, so I think that's what, is me. Yeah.
Okay. And so do you have any projects or events that you care to share, like, that's coming up?
Well, I have a lot of shows coming up. If you're in LA next week, I am at the Pomona Fair. That is May 20th. And then after that, I'm going to the Bay to do some shows, Memorial Weekend. And then Takara and I are back on tour in June.
Oh,
And we'll be in, where are we going? Raleigh, North Carolina, Austin, Texas, Oakland, and Vegas. So we got some dates coming up. So yeah, that's kind of what I got going on. You know what I mean?
and I just want to know, it wasn't one of my original questions, but I do think it's cool how I see you and Takara together, just as two female comedians. Like, how did you all meet and connect? Did you all know each other for some years or something? Or were you already in the industry and connected? Or how did that go?
So we met in the industry, because she's from New York, I'm from LA. And I actually met her through her ex-husband, who was a comic. And he was kind of like, you should meet my wife. She a comic too. And he had a birthday party. I met her at the birthday party. And the first day we met, we just like hit it off. And it's been like we have been knowing each other now for probably I met her pretty early on. She had just moved out here, and I was kind of new in the comedy circuit. So it's been about maybe 7 years. And so now
Wow.
it's really cool to see it all come together and us touring and that kind of thing, because we used to have a little room in a little podcast show that we did years ago. It was called Talking Over Tacos. And we would just like, my husband would film it, and we would sit there and drink and eat tacos from like different places in the city. And then we would have like comics come on and just literally sit there and just talk mess the whole time, gossip and just talk. And then after that, we started a little room that probably sat maybe 30 people that can come to the show. And she and I co-hosted it, and it was the Talking Over Tacos comedy show. So it's kind of cool to see, like, that beginning where we
Mm-hmm.
had, this little show on YouTube or something. I remember when we had got like maybe 1,000 views, and we were like, oh my. So we had that, and then the comedy show, and then to see, now we're traveling, and and it's a good thing. So yeah, so about probably like 7 years. So I've been on it for a while.
Wow. Well, I
Yeah.
love I just love to see like two female comedians. I think that's not something you oftentimes, well, I don't see it often. I'm in Louisiana, so it might
Yeah.
be okay. Well, yeah, because I think
Don't.
that's really special. Okay.
You don't, because sometimes, it's difficult for women. For one, being that it's a male dominated field, a lot of times, some people compete with each other. Some people just don't want it a woman as an opener, because it affects how they may look by closing, or, it's all really weird with women versus you'll see two men all day, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think with her, what works for us is like we're genuinely friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like
Yeah.
I want her to win. She wants me to win. Like we both want each other to be successful, So I think that's what's really great about our dynamic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds really awesome.
Yeah.
So, is there anything else that you care to share before we close out?
No, that's it, girl. Just follow me and come to these shows and come laugh with me and look out for me. You know what I mean? I'm outside, that's about it.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I'm gonna stop the recording.
Okay.
Okay.